Well guys, Jimmy here, and today what I have to do is work on my 2005 Volkswagen Beetle TDI. This is the turbo diesel model, and what I'm having a problem with is the serpentine belt, which you can see right down in there. It is just being a little noisy. Upon startup, you just hear it screeching, and until obviously the belt gets kind of hot or warm, and then then it kind of goes away. But it's getting worse and worse, and so obviously that means it's time to change that serpentine belt. So that's what I'm going to be working on here. 2005 Volkswagen Beetle TDI, and here's the new serpentine belt I got. Just went to standard auto parts store and just got their like cheapo version, so nothing special, but this one is supposed to be like real nice and quiet and all that, good stuff, which doesn't even matter. But so that's what I'll be doing. It looks to me like it's going to be a complete hassle, because I don't know how in the world I'm going to get my hands down there to release the tension on the tensioner pulley. I might have to come in from the bottom. I'm not sure, but I'm going to give it my best shot, see how this goes. So I finally got the belt on. As you can see, the new belt is right down there. I haven't started it up yet, but the tensioner pulley, which is this piece that I'm pointing to right there, this whole entire piece, there was usually on like an American vehicle, there's like a nut down there. You stick a wrench on there and just crank it to loosen it up. But this is the only thing I can see that provided any sort of leverage, and so what I had to do was stick something down there and just basically, you can see I'm not going to do it, I don't want it to come loose again, but just crank on it to get that thing to move. Oh, by the way, I had to remove this intake port for the turbocharger. Basically held in with these little pieces of metal here. No big deal. Those just came right out with a pair of pliers. So once I did that, it allowed me to have a little bit more room to get my hands in there. I did go in through the bottom. Let's see if I can show you. You have a lot of this wind baffling. And I couldn't really get it out. Mine was already ripped a little bit. I didn't do that just in the installation of this. It's already ripped from hitting something. And yeah, you basically thread it through the air conditioning compressor on the outside of the actual crank of the motor. It goes on the inside, inside of the air conditioning compressor down there. Outside of, probably that's the power steering pump down there. And on the outside of this alternator here, and on the inside of the tensioner pulley. So anyway, I know this video is kind of hard to tell what's going on, but it's a hassle, man. These little small cars, they're a hassle to work on. So anyway, hope you have some small hands, because it was tough getting in there. But overall, just replacing a belt is a simple process. It's just getting to it in these new tiny engine compartments that really sucks. So I'm going to start her up and see how this thing runs. I'm actually going to try starting it without the intake tube from the turbo and see what happens. Why not? Just really curious if it needs boost to run or not. Well, unfortunately for me, I was able to change out the belt. Like I said, it's just very hard to get to and do. But I changed the belt, started it back up, and it was still squealing. So I realized that basically it wasn't the belt that was the problem, that it's something, either the alternator, or I'm guessing the air conditioning compressor. and unfortunately I'm kind of leaning more towards the air conditioning compressor down there. And the reason being, and I'd like your feedback, if anyone out there has some input, please comment below. But when the air conditioner kicks on is when I hear the screeching and the lights dim. So I put my voltmeter on the alternator and waited for the screeching to happen, and of course the voltage would drop once the screeching would happen. But I spun the alternator pulley freely with no belt on it, and it spins just fine. Nothing is grinding. Everything is just fine. So I did the old screwdriver to the ear test to see if I could hear anything grinding while it was running, and everything was fine. But I did the screwdriver to the ear test with the air conditioning compressor, and it did sound a little grindy sounding. So I'm kind of, just from doing all this, leaning towards the fact that the air conditioning compressor pulley system might all just be old. This car's an '05, so what are we, 7 years old now? I mean, it's probably on its last legs. Air conditioning still works. It works really good, freezing cold air, but I feel like something is starting to fail down there. But what's really strange is it happens upon startup, even when the air conditioning is off, and I'm pretty sure it happens every once in a while when the air conditioning is completely off also. And I feel like, from what I know, that when the AC is completely off, it should be completely disengaged and just a free spinning pulley system down there. So anyway, if anyone has any input on this, I'd really appreciate it. I don't know, man, that air conditioning system, it almost makes me just want to sell this car. I don't even want to deal with that, because I know that's going to be over $1,000 probably if you have to get a new compressor, recharge the system. I mean, that's going to be expensive. AC is not on. It hasn't been on. It was screeching right when I started it. I don't know if the compressor somehow kicks on for a second when you first start the car. Let me get this thing. I'm going to turn it on and we'll see if we can hear it. Definitely grinding in there. For sure. I can hear something grinding. So what I'm going to do is shut it off, shut the air conditioning off, and see if I can hear it. I mean, the AC works great. It's blowing tons of air, and it's freezing cold, which is what's strange. So it's completely off. You can see the pulley system down there is not spinning, so it's off. I don't hear the grinding anymore. turn it back on. There it goes.